Hey folks, welcome to the XNA Roundup podcast. This is podcast number 3 and I'm your host Nick the Dude. Thanks for tuning in. Here at the XNA Roundup podcast, we find the best games on the Xbox Live Community Games tab and report back to you what's worth spending your money and time on. Before we get started, I just want to mention that you can now subscribe to us through iTunes. Just go to the music store and in the search pane, search for XNA Roundup and we should be the only result. And as always, you can subscribe to us on YouTube or any other video service as well. The first game we're going to look at is Machiavelli's Ascent, which is a vertical platformer where you use little pieces of plankton to propel you towards the surface. And the second game we're going to look at is Ultratron. To me, this is a mashup of Berserk from the old Atari 2600 and Geometry Wars from the Xbox Live Arcade. Okay, so let's get to the reviews and we will see you on the other side. The objective in Machiavelli's Ascent is to get as high as possible in the ocean, starting from the ocean floor. And what you use to do that is little food pellets, which are essentially platforms that boost you up just a little bit. And there's also these arrow speed burst things. All you use is the right and left triggers to steer yourself right and left. Machiavelli's Ascent is kind of a platformer in disguise. It's a simple game, it's not very complex. You just see how far you can get. You use the little pellets as little boosts to get you higher. And if you miss one jump, you're basically dead because as you're moving up, everything disappears underneath you. And so if you miss one jump, that's the end of the whole run. Kind of a little addicting game, you know. You just see how far you can get, and once you get pretty high, you're like, oh man, I know I can get up there again. I know I can do it. So you kind of get pumped like that. And you can collect little starfish and stuff like that as you go up, and it gives you little bonuses. But you definitely get on like these runs where it's like, oh shit, it feels good, you know. You know, it could use a versus mode or something like that, or maybe an online leaderboard could help it. But it's, you know, it's just a fun game. It's simple, it's easy, it's catchy, it's a good game. And it's only 200 points, well worth it. It is a little frustrating if you get up and it's just like, oh, I can't get there, no, oh shit. And that's frustrating. So give this one a shot. I think you guys will like it for 200 points. It's not going to break your bank or anything, and you know, it's not a deep game, but it's definitely worth 200. So Ultratron is actually a pretty polished game. It's got some high production value. Even though the graphics aren't stunning or anything, they're kind of retro throwback graphics. But the gameplay is surprisingly polished, and you know, it's a fun game. It's also on a couple different platforms, so it's not like a lone release on the Community Games tab. So basically what Ultratron is a two-stick shooter where you're a robot and you have to kill other robots and you get power-ups. You have a shield level. You've got like X amount of hits you can take, and you can also replenish the shield as well with power-ups, so you're never totally out of it. There's boss fights, there's lots of different enemy types that do different stuff, there's mine layers, stuff like that. You know, it's fun if you like Geometry Wars. It's kind of akin to that a little bit. I mean, it's not on the same level obviously, but it gives you the same kind of rush, you know, you're moving around, dodging, shooting, two-stick style. There's a good amount of polish on this game actually. So there's a standard single-player mode, and there's also a two-player mode where you share the shield and the points. Something that Ultratron does that I'm surprised other XNA game and developers don't do is put a lot of different power-ups and different things like that in there that just do different stuff just to give it a little more depth. It's little things like that that can make a very simple game, you know, fun and enjoyable. Just little things that change up the game. Because most of these games are, you know, one-trick ponies, but when you mix in a little, you know, power-ups, special abilities, things like that, you can get a little more bang for your buck. And Ultratron does have quite a few different power-ups and increase the fire rate of your weapon. You can at some point have a spread weapon. You can have a little drone that can go out and shoot guys for you. Another thing that Ultratron does right that a lot of XNA titles do wrong is, I know this sounds weird, but the size of the bullets that you shoot are the right size. And I must have seen 10 games, 10 shooters where the bullets were just so small and slow that it was just like, what the hell? I think the perfect firing rate and size is like Geometry Wars 2 Retro Evolved. And that's, again, another simple thing that XNA developers just, I don't know if it's just hard to do it. I don't really know because I'm not a developer, but it seems like it would be a simple thing to change. If you're developing a shooter, you want your shots to be the thing, and I think Ultratron gets that right. This game is one of the mid-level priced games. It comes in at 400 Microsoft points, which is about right. I mean, like I said before, it does have pretty good production value. I'd say it's appropriately priced at 400. At 200, it would be a really good steal. But at 400, it's just about right. All right, folks, that's our show for this week. Just want to say thanks for tuning in. You can find show updates at twitter.com/XNA Roundup, and follow updates on me at twitter.com/NickTheDude. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions for the show, you feel free to email them to xnaroundup@gmail.com. Hope to see you next week.